I'm loving that motivation and mindset. And the thing that stood out to me the most was you can't inherit character. And, you know, my boys, I mean, I'm a phenomenal athlete. Just got to tell everybody that. And I married an athlete, and all my boys are good athletes, but you can't inherit character. So I just felt like that was super powerful. And today we're going to hear from some CEOs, industry veterans. Most of the success in my career has been learning from those around me. So I'm a college dropout, but been a very successful. Yeah, thank you. All right, thanks. Yeah. My mom has her doctorate in education. She wasn't too happy about that phone call. So, but you know, it's really important to see what people have done in order to be successful. And there's basic principles that apply to every business that can help you grow and scale to get you where you want to go. So, if you guys could give a warm welcome for our CEOs. This is going to be interesting. We have 6 CEOs and only 3 microphones. So we're going to see how this goes here. But it'd be great for them to just give us a quick introduction on themselves, how they got in the industry, and then some size and scope of your business. So we'll start with you, Will.
Absolutely. My name's Will Miller. I'm the owner of Priority Roofing. I started in the roofing industry when I was knocking doors at 19 years old. Didn't start selling roofs even, was knocking doors to set up the inspection for the person that would come behind me and sell the roof. I got into selling roofs shortly after that, sold roofs for about 6 years, and started Priority Roofing in 2016. From 2016 until now, we've grown to just over 60 million in total revenue across 5 locations. That was last year. This year, we are at 7 locations, and next year we'll have 11 total. So,
how big's your
glad
team?
to be here.
How big's your team?
Total sales force is right under 200 total, about 190 sales reps. And then each location has a brick and mortar office. So you've got an office staff of anywhere between 2 and 7 office personnel in each location, and then a project management team that manages the jobs, and that's going to be probably 2 to 6 project managers. I don't know if I've ever done the math.
It wasn't meant to stump you.
So our CRM has 280 users. There we go. There we go.
Thank you. You got to pass.
Daniel Young with Kingdom Roofing. We're based out of Indiana. I got into the business in 2011. A couple that went to our church introduced me to their son, who is a national storm chaser. He came really from the hurricane, tornado, and hail industry. He was in the 2nd year of a storm and wrapping it up. There was about 60 days to wrap up this office. I went out and knocked some doors and earned about $40,000 in 60 days. At the time, I had no professional success. I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And it was really a light bulb moment for me of an industry that pays people really well and helps people. And you can, be somebody who was a college dropout, which I was also.
Trend here.
It's a trend. So he was going to go back on the road to go chase another hurricane. And I was just dumb and ignorant enough to tell him I was going to start a roofing business and see if he wanted to join. He put $2,000 into a bank account. We never looked back. It's been about 10 years now. So we've scaled from 3 million to 16 million in the last 3 years. I've got a team of 40 in Indiana. Our strategy is really the blue ocean strategy. We work primarily in a community of 40,000 people, and we do the vast majority of our revenue there. So I'm the low guy in the totem pole here. These are the real rock stars.
You said that earlier this morning. That's not true. My name's Steve Little. I'm head coach of K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing. My partner Keith Post and I, if you were at the last service breakout where Curtis and Keith talked about service, you can see why he and I make great partners. I also were involved with K-Post Residential, and you'll meet Matt Janes later here today. He runs our residential group, and I've had the fortune of being involved with National Roofing Partners. It's a 230 contractor group that services regional and national accounts on the commercial side of the business. And Tony Rader's here today, our COO and one of our co-president types, and you'll run into him today. Really fortunate to be in the roofing industry. I I won't take the time to tell you the story now, but it's a pretty funny story how I got in this business. But really fortunate to have over 500 employees between the three businesses that we lead, and we give back to our community.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Curtis Sutton, Rackley Roofing out of Nashville, Tennessee. I got in the business when I was 18, right after graduating high school. Didn't think I was smart enough to go to college because I did not do well in high school, and started out as a laborer and worked my way up. And in 2010, I met the former owner of Rackley Roofing to come and buy Rackley Roofing. At the time, we were a $3 million company. This year, we'll finish somewhere very close to $50 million.
Talladega.
Yeah, we also own a NASCAR race truck, and we just won Talladega, baby.
Let's go. Let's go.
And for the Titans fans, tighten up.
I found the third microphone. Hey guys, my name is Igor. I think, am I the only one from Canada in this group? Oh, originally, but you left us. Okay. Anyway, so guys, I run a company called Breakthrough Academy. My background is a bit different, so I don't actually run a contracting company anymore. So second thing that makes me different, I guess, than these guys. But a bit about my background. So I was a painting contractor for 7 years in total, starting right from when I was 18 years old. So ran a painting company. By the end of that, we had like 20 something divisions in a whole bunch of different cities, the geography kind of thousands of miles apart, tons of different crews, different divisional managers. And that kind of experience really led me to figure out the importance of systemization. So like when I think about my strengths in business, like I'm a business operations and systems kind of guy. So after that, I realized the power of systemizing companies. So I built a franchise system from the ground up where we launched a pilot franchise where I live in Vancouver and used it to systemize the business, build out the entire kind of operational system and all that kind of stuff. And then I brought on the first few franchisees, and it was then acquired by a large kind of national franchise system, the one that owns 1-800-GOT-JUNK. So that company is now the largest, we called it like house detailing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning, pressure washing, the largest company of that sort in Canada and growing quickly across the US. So that was prior to the company that I run now, which is Breakthrough Academy, where we essentially systemize contracting companies for growth. So we believe that if you want to be able to scale effectively, profitably, and most importantly, as a business owner, keep a sane mind, you need to be exceptional at operations and you need to be able to systemize every aspect of your business. So that's essentially what we do at Breakthrough Academy. And like I said, my viewpoint's a bit different because I don't currently run a contracting company, but we have an interesting vantage point because the companies in our system do a combined, I think it's like over $1.6 billion a year in revenue. So we have an interesting kind of view on really what creates success. So that'll kind of be my value add. Will be more on that front than some specific stuff around roofing. So that's me.
Incredible. I don't know if you catch this or with Curtis was saying Ocean Blue, but there's a great book about this. I just want to make sure you write it down. Blue Ocean, I think it's called, right? Great value already, man. It's incredible. My name is Martin Pettigrew. They call me the roofing machine. I wrote a book and then it stuck with me a little bit. But I want to Revi Impact. We've been in business for about a year. In Monarch Roofing, we did probably the smallest guys here. We did over $43 million in sales last year with 3 locations. Where we teach on what made our success. How we got started is a little bit, maybe a lot similar to a lot of people. Didn't have any resource, any money, no roofing background, no business background, barely can speak English. So if you don't understand me, you can ask me the same question again. I'm fine with that. But I was parking cars. I was working 2 jobs during the day. I'm a golfer. I was working during the day at a golf course and at night parking cars. And that's where the switch happened. I'll make a short story out of this. But I've seen contractors, the guys were spending a lot of money. They would come to the club, would park the cars. They drove really nice F-250 diesel. They had Hummer. They were making it. And we're my mid-20s. Like, what are they doing? I can barely pay my rent, and these guys are crushing it. But they were all contractors, okay? And it reminds me a little bit of what we're going through right now because it's kind of almost too easy right now. I hate to say that, but it's been really a good couple years, right? But they were taking advantage of homeowners. They didn't care about going out and spending money on themselves. They didn't care about getting up in the morning to get homeowners what they deserve the best. And I think you all believe in this, or you wouldn't be here today, because if it were about money, he would try to go get money now. So you want to make long-term decision, so I applaud you for that. And that became my mission. I said, I want to crusade the average roofing company. They're not allowed. I'm thinking that if one of those guys go and meets like my parents, my mom, they're not going to give the good service to the homeowner. So even though I didn't have a background, I started a roofing company to help this. And the same things applies right now. There's a lot of companies out there trying to coach, nothing like these guys, the CG, but they're not really doing it for the right reason. And my mission is to take those guys out so we can really grow the company, the industry better before we see all those private equity are coming in. There's a lot of Angie's List and a lot of companies are coming in, big ones. I want to help the little guys like us to protect and grow something that's different. So we want to stop competing and start dominating our markets.
What a powerful group. So if you're taking notes, the key takeaways so far is drop out of college, you'll be successful.
Yeah.
And if you're making money, spend it. Go to the golf club, buy an F-250. So it's going to be interesting to see the guys that are functioning like that, what happens, and that kind of segues into the next question. So economy, a lot going on there. How is it impacting your business, and how are you going to compete differently now than you were over the previous couple of years? I'm going to call on Daniel. Just put you on the spot.
Yeah, sure. So for us, over the last 3-4 years, if you've gone through a season of rapid scaling, what ends up happening is you spend a lot of money kind of throwing things against the wall, seeing if it's going to work. You're trying to stay ahead of the curve with vehicles, platforms, sales tools, iPads. And then you go through COVID at the same time. It's like, well, if I wanted to buy a new truck, I can't. So I buy a Ford Flex that's been smashed in the side and the door doesn't seal right. And so my team is like, why in the world did you buy that vehicle? So we're going through a season now of what I call cutting fat. So we're going and looking at things that are underutilized or not profitable, and we're cutting those things away. That's really typical through rapid growth, that you end up with things that are not super beneficial or profitable. And then we're doubling down on the things that are very profitable. So the thing that's important to me if it's a soft market is cut away the fat, but you never cut away a limb. And so, we're not going to reduce marketing. We're not going to reduce our sales team, our executive team, our management team. A lot of it is about efficiencies. One of the other things I'd like to say too is during recession and downtime, it's the greatest transfer of wealth that happens. The people make the most money in the stock markets, the most money in private businesses. And so what's happening is typically big dogs get bigger and small dogs go home. And so we're looking to gain market share in a very efficient way and make really wise decisions. But for me, I think the biggest mistake that somebody can make during a soft season is to cut back their marketing. It's the lifeblood. Always have to continue generating leads and branding.
Anyone else want to add to that? Steve?
So during the 07, 08, 09 recession, we had our best growth period ever.
Yeah.
We told our employees and our families to quit watching the television, get on the internet, throw the newspapers away. You control your destiny. I think Inky said it earlier just today. It doesn't matter what the adversity is, but you control your destiny. Somebody earlier heard me answer somebody, how you doing? I said, I'm doing fantastic. You have a choice.
Yeah.
You've got a choice when you get up in the morning what you want to do. We are adapting. COVID changed everything. Supply chain changed everything in how business is done. But we adapted. We've gone from carrying $500,000 worth of inventory to carrying $4.5 million worth of inventory. We've had the best backlog in the history of our company. It looks like we're going to have the best revenue year in 2023 because of it. And along with that, some of the best profit years. So the environment, if it's a recession, the rich get richer.
Right.
And in an economy where there's not a recession, well, then the rich can even do better.
Yeah.
So I'm not comparing that all roofers are rich. I'm just saying that you have control of your destiny and take control of it.
Well, we started in 2007, so it was probably the worst time to start a business. Even when we trying to get insurance, my insurance agent had a bunch of bucks right by the front door. It's like, wow, man, this guy's crushing it. There's bucks. He needs a bigger office. Then when I finally met him, he's like, Martin, you really want to get insurance? Everybody's quitting right now. I'm my box here by the front desk at my front door because I'm quitting myself. I'm retiring. I'm done with this thing. I'm done dealing with you. All you contractors are not paying your bills. So it gave me a reflex that I'm maximizing every single opportunity I have. I'm not taking anything for granted. So there's always an opportunity into the hard time. 2000, every time I tried to retract to protect the company, it always bit me. It bit me in 2014 when there was a little bit of slow winter. So we started like, all right, I can't handle, and we owners were thinking like this sometimes. All right, I don't need to hire anybody else. I'll just do it myself. We'll be fine, right? You're late to this, and then the storm hit. So we got in trouble. To me, it's to find a way to plan the future without knowing. Nobody knows. In 2020, when COVID hit, everybody got so scared. Everybody started to be fear, right? False event appearing real. People freeze then. When people freeze, it's your advantage to push forward. And we started hiring people. It's crazy. We're trying to hire people. I say, we can never hire people. It's so hard to hire people. And now we have the opportunity. Everybody's unemployed. Perfect. We hired a ton of good guys, and it helped us to grow tremendously.
Adam, I just want to follow that up with, this is a time to invest in your company, invest in your employees. In times of uncertainty, employees get concerned of what's going on, and if they see you as a leader reinvesting in your company, it brings calm waters to the economy.
Can you give some examples of that? It's not just raising pay, and how would you practically advise the group to do that?
Well, Keith and I, we made a conscious decision to put $4 million more in our business. In an economy that it's absolutely crazy to do this, and in the commercial side of the business where you can get membrane, but you can't get ISO, or you can't get fasteners, but you got plenty of adhesives and things like that. We just sat down with our partners that were in the market and said, look, we've given you a lot of business for a lot of years. It's time for you to come back and reciprocate. And so we went on allocation with a number of the manufacturers, and we started taking inventory. And then our sales team, God bless them, they turned around and said, you know something, we're going to take this lemon and make lemonades out of it. So they went to the market and they said, hey, look, our company has reinvested back in us, and we've bought inventory, and we did that so we could help you control pricing, and we could help you control doing your projects. And all of a sudden, it went from the architects and the specifiers controlling the industry to us controlling our own destiny. And so reinvesting back in your businesses or reinvesting back in your employees, they will see that, and they have come back tenfold. They have doubled down.
And I was just going to actually ask you, Igor, how important are systems in these changes in markets? So,
yeah, so I'll give you guys my viewpoint on this, and in many ways, I agree with a lot of these guys on that there's a huge opportunity coming. There's a big transfer of wealth that is likely about to come. The opportunities, if you double down on marketing, are huge. I ran a business in 2007 and in 2008 and 2009, and I grew every year significantly through that time because of the opportunities when people pull back to full throttle on marketing and all their kinds of stuff. However, something to keep in mind is that a lot of you, and I'm going to kind of put a bit of a dose of reality on this, you may not have, unfortunately, the cash reserves that maybe Steve's company does. And being pragmatic and being really thoughtful in this time, I would say, is also very important, because having a positive mindset, super important. Understanding the power of reinvestment, really important. However, you cannot do this blindly. And what I mean by that is you got to understand that there's been a huge volume of money that's been injected into not just our economy, but economies all over the world. And that, by definition, is like macroeconomics 101, is going to dilute currencies. And when you dilute currencies, you're going to start to get inflation. The main way to curb inflation, which is like the blunt force that all central banks have, is to raise interest rates. Unfortunately, that does, or I should say, likely can affect our industry quite a bit because we're so tied to real estate. And something that's important to keep in mind is that we are very early in this cycle, right? I think it's similar in the US, but in Canada, it's like 70% of mortgages are fixed, 30% are variable. So relatively few homeowners are feeling the effects of this. And I would say it's the same thing for commercial property owners. But these mortgage renewals are about to hit over the next year, the next 2 years. What's going to happen as those mortgage renewal comes, right? It's a big question mark. And I'm not saying how difficult or not difficult it is going to be. This could be, some bumps in the road, or this could be a fairly challenging time. But regardless, I think what's most important is to realize that there's going to be huge opportunity through this. And even if it is bad, it's not going to last super long. It'll be 1 to 2 years. And the biggest thing that you should think about, in my opinion, is how do you get your, what I would call like your secret sauce to the other side. And we mostly run home service companies, right? So most of our secret sauce is in our people, right? It's the way that you deliver. There's no secret technology that you have that the roofing company across town doesn't have. So it's really about how do you get your systems and your key people to the other side of this. So my recommendation to you is, and this is what we're doing, even as an organization, what we encourage the companies in the Breakthrough Academy program to do is, this is a time when I would be running 2 business plans and 2 budgets going into 2023. One is like, typically if things go as normal, what are you doing? And then the second one is like, what if your lead flow is down by 40% at some point in 2023? What if your closing ratios and all your sales guys, drop by 15 points? What happens if your average job size drops by 20%? Right? And you can model all of that through your sales plan and your production plan. And the question is like, what would you do with overhead, and what kind of decisions, pragmatic decisions, do you need to make pretty early on to be able to carry your key people, and as we talked about, your marketing dollars and your important reinvestment dollars through to the other side. So anyway, I don't want to take up too much time, but my thought on this one is like, yes, reinvestment is important. Yes, understand that there's huge opportunity coming in this. Yes, you have to have a positive mindset, but in addition to all that stuff, like structurally, you have to be mindful of like how you're going to play this game. There's a quote I heard in one of the breakouts, like everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So make sure you have a plan for that too, because it could happen.
Did you have anything to add? Okay. Next question is, was there one defining moment that was transformational for you in your business? And if so, why? Go ahead, Will.
I sold roofs for about 5 years for 2 different roofing companies, and I got pretty good at it where I could make consistently over 6 figures every single year doing it. Got super confident. I mean, at the time I was like 22, 20, about 23 years old, 23, 24, somewhere in there. But I remember thinking like, man, I'm good at selling roofs. I'm a good business person. And there was this confidence of I could go into any industry and do really well because I've already proved that I'm good in roofing. So I had a season in my life where I tried to get into real estate investing. I spent about 8 months before I went into real estate investing. I got my real estate license. I completely pulled out of roofing. I had $40,000 saved up that I was going to invest into real estate.